There are more than 8 billion people on our planet, and each of them is special in their own way. Every person in this world deserves their own story. But today we want to talk about the most unusual people. They are different from their peers. Their stories are impossible to believe, and their looks and strength of mind cause admiration. Well, let's get to know these people better. Number 15, Sambony. For nearly 4 decades, Sambony lived with something most couldn't imagine. His tumor weighed over 7 kilograms, twice the size of his head. It grew slowly, year by year, dragging down his body, his breath, his life. Medical care in his remote village didn't exist. So at 60, he made a decision. Walk 160 kilometers to reach a floating hospital docked off Madagascar. He arrived barely able to stand. The surgeons were stunned by what they saw. Operating meant real danger. But Sambony didn't flinch. "I'm like a dead man already," he told them. He wasn't being dramatic. He was being totally honest. The surgery was long. Bleeding nearly killed him. But 2 weeks later, he looked in the mirror and smiled. The weight was gone, literally and otherwise. "I feel lighter," he said. The tumor's absence made room for something else. Relief. And for the first time in 38 years, he finally saw a reflection he didn't have to look away from. Number 14. Dorothy and Savannah Hole. Dorothy Hole faced a brutal choice: risk passing a rare bone disorder to her child or never become a mother at all. She has osteogenesis imperfecta, known as brittle bone disease, and doctors warned her there was a 50-50 chance her baby would inherit it. Dorothy chose love over fear. When Savannah was born with the same condition, their life shifted instantly. Savannah's father walked away, and Dorothy's own family shunned her decision, leaving her to raise her daughter alone. Both mother and child endured countless fractures, hospital stays, and moments where bones broke without warning. They moved through life in wheelchairs, standing at just 4 feet and 2, but their spirits don't bend easily. Dorothy has no regrets. She sees Savannah not as a burden, but as a miracle worth every hardship. Their story has grown quiet over the years, and little is known now, but the truth remains. Dorothy didn't just choose motherhood. She chose faith, resilience, and a love strong enough to stand on its own. Number 13, Siri. Most kids break a bone and bounce back. Siri broke 3 ribs just getting out of bed. She snapped a tooth while eating a sandwich. By 17, the mystery finally had a name: hypophosphatasia, a rare and weird bone disease. But the damage had already been done. When she was 5, doctors fixed her broken elbow, or so they thought. Years passed before she learned a nerve had been trapped the entire time. That trapped nerve meant weakness, pain, and eventually surgery. Recovery's slow. Her arm still doesn't move right. But Siri keeps pushing, showing up at physiotherapy, facing the pain head-on. Online, she's often accused of faking her condition. She's had to defend her reality with x-rays, scans, and raw honesty. The diagnosis didn't just give her answers, it gave her a voice. Now 21, she's not looking for sympathy, just clarity, just space to be believed. The healing's not over. But the silence? Well, that part's done. Number 12, Yusuf and Hayyan. Cousins by blood and brothers by bond. Yusuf and Hayyan share Morquio syndrome, which affects only a handful of children in the UK. Their bodies can't break down certain enzymes, causing severe problems in their bones, spines, and internal organs. They jokingly call themselves twins because no one else understands their world quite like the other. But their conditions aren't identical. 16-year-old Yusuf's case is far more aggressive, leaving him unable to walk. 22-year-old Haiyan can still move around with challenges of his own. They live hours apart, one in Birmingham, one in Slough, yet talk every day. When they finally meet every 6 weeks, they catch up like no time has passed. They play video games, debate sports cars, and argue Ferrari versus Lamborghini like only real friends can. Their joy isn't loud, it's genuine. Born Different followed them to the park, where 2 young men with fragile bodies showed an unbreakable link. Their friendship is a part of Morchio, the disorder can't touch it. Number 11. Austin Halls. Austin knew from a young age that people saw him differently. He couldn't smile, couldn't close his mouth, couldn't pronounce the letters P or B. Mobius syndrome doesn't just still the face, it makes everyday connection harder than anyone imagines. Between 10 and 18, he underwent 4 major surgeries just to gain the ability to smile. Even after that, he had to teach his face what joy looked like, learn how to match his feelings with movement. Now 27, he uses music instead. Piano keys, beats, melodies, they express what his face still sometimes can't. He's a life coach, an advocate, a proud voice for both the disabled and LGBTQ+ communities. Every performance, every post is his way of saying, you don't need to fit the mold to show up fully. When asked what helped most, Austin doesn't hesitate. Music's always been my therapy. And for someone who had to fight just to smile, that's no small thing. Number 10, Parma ham. Even in a city like London, where oddity barely raises an eyebrow, Parma ham doesn't blend in. They stand out like neon in fog. With a mohawk that reaches nearly 3 feet high and a gothic aesthetic stitched into every corner of their life, Parma doesn't just have a look, they are the look. They started reshaping their appearance at 12, turning straight, ordinary hair into something unforgettable. Styling that mohawk, 2 hours, 2 cans of hairspray, and 0 apologies. It's not built for travel. Ceiling panels, bus doors, and cramped spaces turn daily life into an obstacle course. But Parma doesn't mind. It's a nightmare, they laugh, but it's worth it. The name came after a night out and a joke that stuck harder than expected. Now, it's their identity. Loud, proud, untouchable. They've been targeted, ridiculed, and even threatened, but still, they walk tall. Parma isn't chasing shock value. They're simply living without permission. Number 9, Jerry. Jerry doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve. It's under her skin, pumping medication through her body every second of the day. Idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension and congestive heart failure nearly stopped her life cold in 2018. A small pump, inserted beneath the surface, keeps her alive. She's a mom of 2, still holding it down, still showing up. But nothing's been easy. Her days are measured in medication, symptoms, and the constant hum of uncertainty. So she took that fear and flipped it, turned her life into a resource for others. Online, she shares every high, every crash, every moment that might help someone else breathe a little easier. Jerry isn't trying to inspire you. She's just trying to be the person she once needed. I've survived a lot, she says with a shrug. I joke, I've got 9 lives. I think I'm on number 6. It's not a punchline. It's how she stays in the fight. Number 8, Bablu Pashi. In Allahabad, a 34-year-old man carries more than just pain. His right arm alone weighs over 20 kilos. Gigantism caused the swelling, twisting his body into something unrecognizable. Nothing about life is easy. Even washing up triggers sharp pain. Walking 10 minutes? He's gasping for air. People stare. They always have. Back home, they kept their distance. So, he moved, hoping the city would be kinder. It wasn't. Without steady work, Bablu's often left begging on the streets. But he's not done fighting. He's met with doctors, hoping for surgery to take the weight away. What stands in the way is money. His spirit's still there, but everything else, mobility, dignity, strength, feels borrowed. "These are the difficulties I face," he says, not looking for sympathy. Each day begins with pain and ends with prayer. He's not asking for much. Just one chance to walk without dragging a limb that feels like it's filled with stone. Number 7. Wheelchair Rapunzel. Alex Dacey isn't waiting for permission to feel beautiful. She already does. Born with spinal muscular atrophy, she's dealt with a body that moves differently, tires quickly, and depends on others for certain things. But the one thing she's never let go of? Confidence. Known online as Wheelchair Rapunzel, Alex posts bold, sometimes provocative photos, challenging the idea that disabled bodies should hide. Her spine's curved, ribs visible, and her arms don't move like they used to. Still, she does her own makeup, builds her brand, and makes her presence impossible to ignore. Spinraza, a treatment for SMA, gave her back some strength, but the real power's always been there. With support from her mom, Jackie, Alex styles her hair, strikes the pose, and hits the post. No apologies. No need to explain. She's not here to fit the narrative. She's here to shatter it. One image, one statement, one unapologetic version of self-love at a time. Number 6. Sabrina. Sabrina's skin tells a story most people wouldn't understand. Psoriasis, brutal and unforgiving, showed up when she was 12 and never left. Covered in plaques, she spent years hiding. Sweaters in summer, silence in crowds. Now she's 29, with 2 daughters, a husband who's stayed steady, and a body that still fights her every day. The pain comes in waves. The exhaustion sticks. Playing with her kids? That takes planning. For a while, she disappeared into herself. Shame does that. But something changed. Maybe it was motherhood. Maybe it was just time. Now, she speaks up. Not with speeches or drama, just honesty. Psoriasis isn't a rash. It's a daily grind that drains and isolates. Her voice is soft but steady, and that's enough. She's not trying to be a hero. She just wants to crack open the silence and let others like her breathe. Number 5. Harmony Rose Allen. By the time Harmony was just 10 months old, her parents had to face a choice no one should ever have to make. A severe case of meningitis spread faster than anyone expected, and to save her life, doctors amputated all 4 of her limbs. Most people would crumble under something like that, but not Harmony. She figured out how to eat with prosthetics, how to walk again, how to smile through pain that should have broken her. She never waited for pity and never saw herself as broken. She laughed, she played, and she kept pushing forward, one step at a time. When her story hit the internet, it wasn't because people felt sorry, it was because they couldn't believe her spirit. Now she's out in the world doing what most people wouldn't even attempt. Harmony isn't defined by what she lost. She's remembered for everything she holds on to, her courage, her joy, and the way she refuses to slow down. All right, now, let's move to number 4, the quadruple amputee champion. At 7, Isabel Wheel had a fever that spiraled into meningitis. Within days, she was fighting for her life. Her organs failed. Her heart stopped. Survival meant losing both legs and parts of both arms. It was devastating. But she wasn't finished. Isabel taught herself how to write again, balance again, move again, and not just move, but fly. Today, she's a trampolining champion, pulling flips and routines that most people with all their limbs can't touch. She trains hard, posts regularly, and doesn't sugarcoat the work it takes. Makeup tutorials, trampoline runs, her life's right there on screen. Her pink prosthetics aren't props. They're part of the journey. Fear? Sure. Spiders, mostly. But giving up? Not a chance. Her brothers call her the wild one, the daredevil. They're right. Isabel doesn't need to prove she's like everyone else. She's showing what's possible when your body says no, and you decide to flip straight over it anyway. Number 3, Stig Severinsen. Stig doesn't just hold his breath, he holds world records for it. The Danish freediver once stayed underwater for over 20 minutes on a single breath. No oxygen tank, no tricks, just training, willpower, and insane control over his own body. This isn't something you stumble into. Stig trained for years, mastering techniques to slow his heartbeat, relax every muscle, and keep his mind still in situations that would make most panic. He's swum under frozen lakes, pushed past physical limits, and turned his lungs into an underwater engine. Scientists have studied him with awe, trying to understand how he pushes human biology past its limits without breaking. But Stig doesn't do it for records or applause. For him, it's about curiosity. How far can the human body go when the mind refuses to say stop? Whether submerged beneath ice or gliding silently through the ocean, Stig doesn't just dive deep. He redefines what it means to be human. Number 2, the baby born different. From the moment Gavin arrived, his face told a different story. Swollen, misshapen, covered in cysts. His condition, lymphatic malformation, was aggressive. At 18 weeks, his parents saw something odd in the ultrasound, but nothing prepared them for the reality. Doctors called it one of the worst cases they'd seen. Victoria and Joseph didn't panic. They didn't run. They held him close and called him their warrior. Through surgeries, hospital visits, and strangers' stares, Gavin kept smiling. He's 6 now, full of energy, with a grin that lights up every room. His parents post updates not for sympathy, but for connection, for the families who don't have answers yet. When people whisper or point, Victoria would rather they just ask. There's nothing shameful about being different. Gavin's not trying to be brave. He's just being himself. And what he teaches every day, without trying, is that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just laughs. Number 1, Akshat Saxena. Born in India in March 2010, Akshat entered the world with 34 digits, 14 fingers and 20 toes, setting a Guinness World Record for the most digits ever recorded. But the story wasn't about the numbers. It was about function. Akshat was born without thumbs, making even basic tasks impossible. Holding, writing, gripping, none of it could happen without major surgery. Doctors at AIIMS in Delhi stepped in with a bold solution. Remove the extra fingers and reshape parts of them into working thumbs. It was complex, delicate work, but it gave Akshat a fighting chance at independence. His mother, Amrita, said the initial diagnosis crushed her, but she never stopped believing in her son's future. Akshat's case wasn't just rare. It was a blueprint for what medicine and love can achieve together. He isn't just remembered for having the most fingers. He's remembered for how every single one became part of a second chance, a careful rebuild of what was never expected to function. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.